direction of Spring Awakening was beautiful as a garden, and that was Tony nominated Michael Arden.
Thank you.
Michael Arden, did you ever think you'd get a Tony nomination as a director?
No.
It's pretty cool, isn't it?
It's pretty wild. It's pretty wild.
Like
It's
Michael
incredible.
Arden, costume designer. It's like,
Yeah.
because you were an actor, if you don't know, Michael Arden was an actor for many, many years, and then you started directing, I'm going to say 5 years ago? When?
Yeah.
And
5
now,
years ago.
But you haven't given up your amazing acting.
No, I mean, I haven't gotten called to do it lately, but here we are.
He was amazing. He was in Hunchback, by the way, which we'll play. And by the way, he's also a great composer. I feel like that I really haven't heard from in a couple years. What's with the composing?
Yeah, I haven't written any music in a while. I mean, I sort of noodled around, but I sort of haven't had time to sit down at a piano and do it.
What's with the crazy multi-talent? Were you always like that as a kid, doing a lot of different things at once?
I think I loved theater as a whole. I think, like, when I was a kid, I used to get on my hearth, and I was more interested in designing the sets, and then I interned as a lighting designer, which is what I was going to do
Oh my
for
God.
a while.
I was joking. I didn't really know.
Yeah,
you
I was like going to be a lighting designer, and then I got into Juilliard, so I was like, I better do that instead.
As an actor.
Yeah, so it's sort of and then I like designed the sets for my school plays and stuff like that, and wasn't in them. I was like, gave you a great design for Jesus Christ Superstar, but
Judas was just too high.
I just loved theater. I loved sort of being on any side of it,
And is
still
directing
continue
sort
to.
of like, because to me, I didn't direct Disaster, but I felt like I had a hand in everything and I loved it. So like, was directing Spring Awakening like your dream? Like I get to kind of handle every single aspect of the show?
Yeah, it was great because it was a show that I loved. I saw I was at the first preview off Broadway.
Wow.
And so I got to see it transform and become this big hit on Broadway, and loved it there, and yet like had so many thoughts about it, and I was able to bring my experience with working with Deaf West for so long into that.
Because you had done Big River with them.
I'd done Big River and then Pippin out at the Taper.
Oh, right.
So it had sort of been this long relationship, and it all sort of came together, and the fact that it came to Broadway was such like a surprise, and I still can't believe it actually happened.
It's really delicious. I remember I was in LA with Kevin Chamberlain. We were doing a one-nighter Disaster, and Kevin was like, "You have to see Spring Awakening." He's like, "It's the best show I've ever seen in LA." And I was like, "I'm here for one night. I can't see it." And then the next thing I know, I was transferring to Broadway, and I saw it, and I was like, "Oh, I saw it twice already." The first production, I was like, "I don't have the energy to see it a third time," but then I did, and it was so good. It was like the perfect show to have for Deaf West, because I feel it was all about like not understanding and adults. How did you know it was gonna be perfect for Deaf West? Did someone pitch it to you?
Yeah, my fiance Andy Miantis, it was all his idea.
How can you understand anything he's saying when he's so cute? Aren't you just distracted by the cuteness?
I mean, I've gotten used to it.
Okay, now it's just any old face. So he was like, "This is perfect for Deaf West."
Yeah, it was his idea. I was DJ Kurz, who's the artistic director of Deaf West, was a new artistic director, and he had heard about this production of La Ronde that I had adapted and done in LA that had sort of done very well, and said, "Do you want to direct something?" And I was talking to Andy about it, and like all good ideas I have, he said, it came from him, and he said, "Why don't you do Spring Awakening?" And it sort of came from, he was on the first national tour, and I was doing Pippin at the Taper, and he was at the Amundsen, I was at the Taper, and we sort of like connected while that was happening.
I mean, you weren't dating at that point.
We weren't dating at all.
Oh.
We were friends for about 6 years before we started dating, but their cast came to see Pippin, and he said, like, at that time he started thinking about, it's a story about communication and the perils when communication isn't vibrant.
What was the biggest challenge for you to direct it? What were you like, how am I ever gonna blah blah blah?
I think it was hard just because there were so many elements. I mean, it's not an easy show musically, and also just the story and the acting. It's a difficult piece, and it's about really difficult things to express. And so then I was doing it in sign language and trying to make these lyrics that are so poetic come across to a deaf audience through sign language. So it is a translation, and so we had to actually translate these, like, what does purple summer mean? Like, what does that mean? So you have to
So it wasn't literally
that.
Purple Summer in sign language?
No, it changed. And so all the lyrics, and so it was nice to get to explore that, because it really forced me to look at like what those lyrics meant, and what does whispering mean? You know, it means like the rumors of the town, and so it sort of, I think, informed the story in a way that you don't get when you're just doing a conventional production. So I was really surprised by that, and you know, to have to like translate this score, because I listened to the album and love Duncan's music and love the orchestrations. So okay, well, I hear the cello doing this, but how do we express that to a deaf audience? So how do we not favor the hearing audience? So we want to make sure the lights are going with the cello part to try to like give it a visual equivalency. And every time we ran up against a problem or a sort of insurmountable challenge, and then I thought, oh God, I've come to the end of the road. It actually like forced me to find something better. Always.
Totally like the Nun song.
Exactly,
It's interesting when you think that
exactly.
you're blocked and you go, I'm never going to solve this. But, but whenever I come to it, I always go, no, but this time I'm really never going to solve it. I mean, like, did you finally get to a point where you're like, okay, I know I eventually will? Or do you still kind of think every time you come to something, you're like, I'm never going to solve this?
Yeah, there are definitely times I'm like, I have no idea what I'm going to do. But luckily I was just surrounded by a group of people who believed in what I was trying to do. That I was trying to like tell a story about deaf culture at the time and be extremely thorough and honest in that.
And how did you conduct the rehearsals? Did you have a sign language interpreter with
Yeah,
you?
so there are
Oh,
interpreters
okay.
at every rehearsal, but I tried to sign for myself because then I
Because
knew...
you're a show-off?
I knew, because I wanted to show off.
Okay.
And I
Secondly.
wanted to show everyone how terrible at signing I am. No, I wanted to make sure that if I was communicating with an actor that I was choosing what signs I wanted to say, or to communicate, so it didn't get like quote-unquote lost in translation.
Well, that is, I never thought about sign language being translation, but it's totally true because it's
Oh,
not...
absolutely. It's a whole different language and it's got a different structure and depending on like what your face is doing, something can have a totally different meaning. I mean, it's nuts.
Oh
It's
my-
nuts.
It's
I'm
so
like,
hard
why
to
can't I
conduct-
just direct a play with two people in a black box?
And I was going to say, because conducting rehearsal in the first place, so it was like, people, please be quiet. Like, every 5 minutes there's that happening.
You know, you have to flash the lights, you have to like do this. Like, just getting people back from a 10-minute break is like boarding the ark.
I can't even imagine. So then getting the nomination, which I really think you deserve. I thought you did a great job directing. Did you expect it? Like, what was your experience?
I mean,
with
I had no idea because
the show closed months ago.
the show closed months ago, and usually shows aren't remembered after, they close it because ultimately, like the Tonys are a commercial for Broadway, and like come to Broadway and see what is on now, and
Right.
this is the best of what's happening. So the fact that we were remembered at all, and that I was remembered specifically for my first Broadway outing is just like I couldn't believe it. And like Jennifer said, it was this rainy day, and I was on a jitney going out to the Hamptons to go look at Bay Street to measure something because I'm directing My Fair Lady there this summer. And I had to I couldn't make phone calls on the jitney for 2 hours. And so I got the news as I was walking onto the bus, and so I just sat there quietly peeing
So
my
you mean you were
pants.
on the jitney when the news came out?
Yeah.
And you were just trying to, you had no idea during those 2 hours. Why did you pick a jitney that left at Tony nomination time?
It was the only day I could go
Oh my
and see it.
God.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, so in conclusion, so you're directing My Fair Lady this summer, and
Uh-huh.
it's with
Amazing people. The most amazing
anybody we
company.
know?
Douglas Hodge.
Oh my God, who won the
Is
Tony Award for the
who won the
Clash
Tony
of
for the Cage, and
And he's
also
playing
was
Eliza,
just-
or
he is playing both Eliza and
Yes, that's
and-
the Cage.
I can't do anything. Just
eventually.
yeah. No, he's playing Higgins, and incredible actor named Kelly Barrett is playing Eliza.
Okay, there. And are
who
you
is-
playing Freddie Unsford Hill? I hope.
I'm not.
Why not? You don't want to pull Barbara Streisand and be in it as well?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
You really wouldn't want to direct yourself?
No. God no.
But do you want to go back to acting though?
Sure, yeah. I mean, I would love to. There are so many parts I would like to play. I can't think of any right now.
Exactly.
But I really like directing. I have to say, because it's like I get to play all the parts in a way, and I get to bring people together who I love. I love actors. I mean, I am one, and I get to help them, in my way, achieve their best work, and that's the most rewarding thing I could ever be part of.
And the final thing is, Spring Awakening has a chance to be on the Tony Awards, but that's just costs money. Once the show closes, they don't have any more money. So there's now it's a Kickstarter, right?
Yeah, we launched a Kickstarter because that's how we got the show up in our 99-seat theater production to begin with, is from a Kickstarter. So we thought, well, why don't we see if we can get on the Tonys this way?
And it would really be a beautiful thing. I mean, this is the kind of thing where I know deaf people for years will go, oh my God, I remember seeing that on the Tony Awards, and it changed my whole life. So I really think it's an important thing to have on the Tony Awards. What do they go to donate money to this Kickstarter?
You can go to, if you just go to deafwest.org, is there?
Yeah, Deaf West, that's the best way,
Yeah, just go to
deafwest.org.
deafwest.org, and there is a website that I, of course, can't think of. Or
Yeah,
go to
but-
Kickstarter and just look for Spring Awakening. We have 16 days to raise, a lot of
You
money.
guys can do it. It's so important. So anyway, in conclusion, brava and bravo.
Thank you. Thank you.
So guys,